Guys, when did you realize she/he was the one? When I saw her every day for 3 months and only wanted to see her more. That's how I feel about my I'll never have enough time with him. It's a nice feeling, isn't it? Went on a 7-month deployment. She emailed me every day for those 7 months, sent me care packages, letters, and waited for me when I got back. I bought the ring while on deployment. Any girl that's willing to put up with that and support you and be there for you during deployment is worth marrying. One of our first dates, she made spaghetti for us for dinner and used about half a jar of garlic, and I thought, yeah, she's it. We woke up around noon on a Saturday at her apartment and she said, let's just order pizza and stay in bed all day. Here we are 25 plus years later still eating pizza in bed sometimes. Only been together about 3 weeks, woke up one morning and was missing her. After being widowed, I know not to waste time being without her. A year later we were married with our first child on the way and very happy. It was more of a subtle takeover. We were just having fun, and now there's towels in the house that only guests can use. We were on the couch, her feet on my lap. She was flipping through the TV guide while I was zapping through channels. She said, there's nothing good on TV tonight. All I could think of in that moment was, who cares? As long as I'm with you. In that moment I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. Like 5 minutes after I met her, LD talked to plenty of girls and women in my life, but this one had the fire. Magic in the eyes, wit on the tongue, just the right mix of savory and spicy. I was done with, and I knew it. That was 22.5 years ago. When all your friends tell you not to mess this one up, sometimes you need a bit of outside perspective. Long after we broke up, I never knew she was so important to me until she died. Not mine, but I want to share my grandpa's because my grandma is dying right now and it's my favorite story. He was 16 and went to an illegal teen party. He said the room was dim but there was one pull-string light bulb in the corner. She climbed down the fire escape under the light and was the only thing illuminated in the room. He told me she looked like his favorite movie star, said the angels must have sent her to him. He knew in that instance. 70 years later and he never let her go. I honestly don't remember. I met her in college 35 years ago. She tried everything to catch my eye but I was so clueless. We dated 3 years and all of her friends were getting married, so she caught the marriage bug. I don't recall the moment, but I do know I had no issue with proposing. We were simply a good fit in every way. A good team. We didn't know what we wanted in a marriage, but we both came from horrible divorces, so we learned from our parents what not to do. We had a 2-year engagement with the specific goal to work on our crap. 30 years later, we still not only love each other, we like each other. She called right before our first date. I was expecting her to cancel. She asked what liquor to bring. She took me on our first date. All her treat. No woman had ever done this for me before. July 1988. I met her in the Knott's Berry Farm break room. It was her first day of work for summer break. I saw her name tag, asked if she'd like to sit with me, very uncharacteristic of me, and within a half hour I knew LD met someone pretty fantastic. Took steps forward that day. Not the most exciting or interesting story here. 3 weeks after meeting we were having breakfast at his place. Just sitting in the kitchen and chatting about our weekend plans together and how much we enjoyed each other. I looked over at him, with a piece of egg on his beard, and realized I was going to spend the rest of my life with this man. That was 33 years ago and we're still going strong. Met outside a hostel in London. She left for Spain a few days later. I felt empty without her. A month later we were together. 15 years later and married 10 this year. Chatted for 5 hours on the first date. Neither of us talk much normally. Pretty big indication for us. My wife and I had been dating for 7 months when she brought me to her family's massive Thanksgiving celebration. Meeting her family and seeing how fun, loving, caring and hilarious they were pretty much sealed it for me. I knew that this was somebody who would be an amazing parent and spouse. We came from way different economic backgrounds. Her family is very waspy and white collar, whereas I come from a just above broke working class Catholic family. But her family reminded me of mine in so many ways I knew she had to be the one. Our values lined up perfectly. You may with a story like that. If you ask my wife, she will tell you that 10 days in I said ancient astronaut theorists say yes to an oddball question having nothing to do with ancient aliens. She almost said I love you Rughite then. We had been dating for about a month. I had developed a kidney stone and was on my way to the ER. It was a Friday night and we were going to go out, but I told her that I had to get this taken care of. She offered to drive me and stayed 9 hours with me while I was waiting to get admitted. We used the time wisely and really talked and got to know each other. Everything came out, nothing was off the table. I was convinced at that point this was going to last a while. We've been together 9 years, married 8. She was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and she slathered thick amazing amounts of PB on one slice of bread. I had said, "Whoa, you like tons of peanut butter too." She said, "No, that's just how Lino you like them." That was about 20 plus years ago. Married now for 16. I'm still waiting for that moment. So I'll know you've heard it, but stop waiting. Stop looking for something anything. Keep your mind open. Always be yourself. Don't hide and don't send forth your representative. Always be yourself. I went to a racing school down in Florida. After making the long-ass trip with me and having a blast, I knew she was a good girlfriend when Elle ended up crashing by accident. You see, there's no driver insurance for this school, so any damage comes directly from your pocket. I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to afford it and it was really putting me down. She told me that it was completely unthinkable for us to leave without completing the school and that she would work 2 jobs if she had to. That's when I knew she had my back. We'd gone on 3 to 4 dates, and it was my birthday. She asked to come over. She had made me a cake and did her best to decorate it. I was amazed she cared that much that early. Then, she grabbed a huge chunk of smeared it all over my face. We basically had a food fight, and even though cleaning it up wasn't the most fun, I realized that night after she went home she was the one. 6 years later, still having so much fun with her. She and me had a heart-to-heart moment where we aired out all our feelings. We agreed that we'd stick by one another through thick and thin, grow and learn from mistakes or hardships, and persevere to reach our goals for the future. Never had someone be so honest and forthcoming with me before, and it opened my eyes to the fact that she really does want to be my endgame. We met 20 years ago, via an MSN chat room. We were 14. Hell, we could have been disgusting 50-year-old slobs, but we took the chance. We finally met at 19, even though she lived 9 hours away. We spent a grand total of 8 weeks together, albeit living together essentially over the next few months. Then something happened, a relationship hurdle that neither one of us knew how to handle, and we broke up. In 2007 she came looking for me, a few weeks before her wedding. Never found me. She ends up marrying the guy I went looking for about 12 years ago, saw she was married, and let it be. 15 years later, we find each other by chance and we have discovered that we're still madly in love. True love takes time sometimes. Woman here, I hope all can still contribute. L just bought a shower gel and I wanted to smell it, and when I pushed it made a little fart noise. He giggled like a child, with such an innocent smile, smiley face, then I realized I want to hold on to that silly smile forever. Not yet. I have a candidate, but we need some time to see. We were on like our 3rd date getting sushi, and as was just looking at her across the table and knew that I wanted to marry her. Waited about a year and a half before doing that, haha, and now we've been married for 6 months and it's amazing. As for my wife, she says that the first time she saw me she felt like she had been struck by lightning and got this overwhelming feeling that she was going to marry me. She said it made her really nervous and uncomfortable because she had no idea who I was. I guess it worked out though. A close coworker of mine told me he knew I liked this other colleague. I told him I didn't. 3 weeks I slept like shit, barely getting any rest. The reason? Every single time tried to sleep, no matter how tired I was, LDB thinking of her. And it wasn't even lewd thoughts, just hoping she was doing okay and being excited to see her at work again. I'm 26 for goodness sake. I finally admitted to myself she was the one. Slept like a king that day. When I first tasted her food. When she sat on my lap, wrapped her arms around my neck and started licking my face. Get yourself a shelter, mutt fellas. So after dating the same girl for 7 years and breaking up with her because she was crazy and I was tired of her crazy, I made a list. A list of all the qualities I did not want in a partner and a list of things that would be nice to have in a partner. When I met my wife of now 16 years, she met all the wickets, so never let her go. About 3 months into our relationship, she asked what I do every Friday evening that I absolutely could not miss. She came with me one Friday and I introduced her to the group I play D&D and WH40K tabletop with. Game night over, I walked with her back to her place. At the door to her apartment, she hugged me and told me not to change this part about my life. In her words, it was endearingly nerdy. I knew then she was a keeper. I was always a loner, looking for quiet time alone even with past GFS. With her, and from the start, I wanted to see her all the time and still do. When she asked if I minded if she got a tattoo on her ass that simply said loved, I still love her ass. I, 22 female, still sleep with my baby blanket. When I was with an ex, I hid my baby blanket from him for the entire relationship. When I met my now boyfriend, 23 male, and stayed at his place for the first time, he had a baby blanket too. That really solidified that he's the one for me.